Okay, welcome to the third video in the passive speaker design tutorial. And in this video, we're going to do the front panel, the panel that's going to go on the front and is going to amplify our sound. We've got our channels in here, so the sound's going to come in through these pathways here, be amplified in these larger chambers, and then we need something for it to come out of. So the directional sound is going to come from these holes in the front panel. So to do this, we need to create a new component that's going to go on the front there. And we need to have the cutouts, and we also need to look at somewhere where the phone's going to sit inside here. The phone's going to come into this bit. We don't want it falling out completely, but we also don't want it completely covered. So we're going to have a notch here for it to sit on. Right, let's get started then. So I've got my whole speaker selected, so I can now press a new component and it's going to come out below here. So new component, I'm going to call this front panel, and away we go. So I'm going to do a sketch on that plane. I'm going to come just a bit lower just so I can see this, but I can draw it down here because we're going to move it up afterwards. So I want my rectangle tool. Now, as you remember from last time, I like the center rectangle tool. I find that one quick and easy to use, but if you want to use a normal rectangle tool, you can. So center rectangle, roughly like that. I know it's 70 high, and I know it's 230 wide. Now that's the same as the back panel, but we need to make some changes to it. So we're going to add some new features in here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the line tool. The shortcut is L for this, the line tool. And I'm going to select construction line. And a construction line just gives me an idea of where things should go. You can see there's two construction lines here showing me that this is a rectangle and it is perfectly square. And by square, I mean it's at a right angle in each corner. The term square doesn't actually mean it is a square. To be square is to be at 90 degrees. But I want this center line here going in the center line. I could use the center line option, but I'm just going to use the construction line for it. Now, when I hover over that point there, if I zoom in, you can see that normally I've got like a set of crosshairs, a square with an X through it, but here I've got an X and a triangle next to it. That tells me that that point there is my center point on that line. Here is anywhere on the line. Here is not even on the line at all. But here is the center of the line. I can click there. And I can move across, and if I do the same one, if I hover over there, you can see that just to the left of my mouse, you can see a little right angle symbol, the square, so that this line is perfectly perpendicular to the line going up and down. But if I stop on there, you can see that I've got both the right angle symbol and the triangle next to the X. So not only is it at a right angle, it's also in the center point on that side as well. This shows me that everything is perfectly square. The reason I'm doing that is because I will need to put some circles on that line, but I know that that line can never move now. Because I've clicked it to a node where I've drawn it, it cannot move. So the next tool I need is my circle tool. Here is my circle tool, shortcut C. I'm going to start on the line. So I'm going to click somewhere on that line, doesn't matter where, about there, and I'm going to type 35. Now, here's where I've made a mistake. It does happen. That is still a construction line. I want that to be a solid line. What I can do is I can click on that line, and over here, I can deselect construction, and it now becomes a normal line again. But you can see that construction lines are still selected. So I'm going to deselect them overall, just so that my next line isn't a construction line. I'm going to do the same thing again on the other side. I'm going to use my circle tool. I'm going to click here, pull out a bit, and type 35. Now, I need to measure where these are going to be, because right now they're not equal. So I'm going to use my dimension tool here. So this is where I can use this tool. I can click on my circle, and it will go from the center point, and I can click on this line. So I'll show you that again. with my dimension tool, I'm going to click on the circle first, and then I'm going to click on this line, and it's going to show me the distance between those 2 points. Now I'm going to move it out of the way. This is just a measurement line. It doesn't matter where you put it. I could put it up here, down here, over here, in the middle. It doesn't matter. It's just a measurement. But if you have it all on top of each other, it gets very, very confusing. I'm going to put it here, and this needs to be 35. And that will put it pretty much in the center of this area here. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Click on the circle first, click on the other line second, move it up, and 35. Enter. Okay, we're nearly done now. So I need another rectangle. This rectangle is going to be along the top and down. Now I want the bottom of the rectangle to be in line here with that circle. So I need that height to be 17.5. But I'm not going to select a width. Notice how the width is currently 70.888. Doesn't matter if I put it wider or narrower. I'm just going to set the height only, because I'm going to use my dimension tool to set the width. Now my dimension tool will allow me to select this line first, and then select this line second, and then set that distance of 70. I'm going to do the same thing the other side. Select this line first, select this line second, then press 70. And now I've got that set. So I know how far that is. And the reason I've done that is because this here is 70, if you remember back from when we made this one in the last video. And so it will line up perfectly with that line there. I could have calculated the remaining width there, which should be 90, and then positioned it perfectly in the center. But I thought I'd show you the dimension tool and how we can use dimensions to set items at set distance. Okay, this is the sketch done for the front part now. So I can press finish sketch. Now here's the tricky bit. Before, whenever we pressed extrude, it's automatically selected our profile for us. But we've got multiple profiles in there now. So if I press extrude, it hasn't selected anything for us. We've got to select the profiles we want. We only actually want this profile here. We don't want that profile, or that profile, or that profile. We want them to stay as holes or non-solids. If I move that, change that, if I set that to 12, I've got the shape I wanted, and I can press J for joint, or if you can't, or go to assemble and press joint. I'm going to joint this onto here. Now, I need to be careful. What nodes do I select? Well, I could go from a corner, because the corners are going to match up, or the bottom middle. But it has to be on the edges. I could even go on the side edges here, edge middles. They should line up perfectly. What I don't want to do is start selecting the middle bit here, because that might not match up. So I am going to select, I'm going to go with the bottom corner. That surface, that corner. Spin it around, and it's going to be that surface, that corner. There we go. That has lined up nicely. And that is, in a sense, all the practical parts of our passive speaker. That would work on its own. In the next video, we're going to look at making some side pieces just to make it some more stable and give it a little bit more of a design flair, make it look a bit more aesthetically appealing. Okay, see you in the next video. Good luck.